What happens when a deal falls through and how sellers recover. Let's talk about one of the most stressful moments a homeowner can experience. Your home is under contract, you told your family, your friends, your neighbors, you've started planning your next move, and then the deal falls through. If you're selling in Queens or Long Island, this moment can feel overwhelming. Many sellers immediately think that there's something wrong with their home and they're back to square one. But here's the truth, most sellers don't hear. A deal falling through does not mean your sale is over, and in many cases, sellers who handle this correctly recover quickly and successfully. Today, I want to walk you through why deals fall apart, what really is happening behind the scenes, the biggest mistakes sellers make, and how sellers in Queens and Long Island recover without losing leverage or value. First, let's normalize this. Deals fall through all the time, even in strong competitive markets like Queens, Nassau County, and Suffolk. The most common reasons include financing issues. Buyers can be pre-approved and still fail to close. Interest rates change, job verification, additional debt, or underwriting conditions can all derail financing, sometimes very late in the process. It's frustrating, but it's not a reflection on your home. Inspections often uncover issues, some real and some minor. Sometimes buyers get scared, even when the issues are manageable. Other times, inspections become a renegotiation tool. If expectations don't align, the deal can fall apart. Again, this doesn't mean that the home won't sell, it just means that this wasn't the buyer for the house. And then there are appraisal gaps. In Queens and in parts of Long Island, homes often sell above asking price. When an appraisal comes in lower than the contract price, some buyers simply don't have the cash to bridge the gap. If neither side can adjust, the deal collapses even though demand still exists. Sometimes buyers get cold feet, and it's more common than you think. This one doesn't get talked about enough. Sometimes buyers simply panic. Buying a home, especially at today's prices, is emotional and it's overwhelming. Buyers may start second-guessing timing, let family opinions influence them, worry about payments or commitment, or just get the feeling that they're making the wrong decision. When that happens, buyers often look for a reason to exit or they walk without warning. Sellers need to hear this clearly. Buyer cold feet has nothing to do with your home's value. It's about buyer readiness, not property quality. And then there's title issues that sellers didn't even know about. Common examples include old liens that were paid off decades ago but never formally released, mortgages that were satisfied but never recorded properly, missing documents from prior transfers, boundary or survey discrepancies. For sellers who lived in their home for 20, 30, or even 40 years, this can come as a shock. They've been paying taxes, maintaining the home, living there peacefully, and suddenly a title search brings something to light that they never even knew existed. In many cases, these issues can be resolved, but they take time, and some buyers simply won't wait, so they walk. This doesn't mean your home can't sell. It means that the buyer wasn't willing to work through the process. The biggest mistake that I see sellers make when a deal falls through is sellers often react emotionally. I hear things like, something must be wrong with my house, we priced it too high, now everyone will think there's a problem. This is where sellers unintentionally lose money. The biggest mistake is to panic. Sellers rush to cut the price immediately, change strategy without understanding why the deal failed, accept the next offer out of fear. But not every deal requires a price reduction. Not every inspection issue needs to be fixed, and not every buyer objection reflects the market. The key is understanding why the deal failed before reacting. What actually happens after the deals fall through? Here's what's really happening behind the scenes. When a contract falls apart, other buyers notice, agents start asking questions, new buyers wonder what happened. In Queens and Long Island, perception is everything. A poorly handled relaunch creates doubt. A strategic relaunch restores confidence. The goal is to control the narrative, maintain pricing integrity, and rebuild urgency. How a home re-enters the market matters far more than the fact that it was previously under contract. Let me share a real-world scenario that I see all the time in Queens. A homeowner in Bayside had lived in her home for over 30 years. She raised her family there and maintained the house beautifully. When we listed it, the home went under contract quickly. Then, during the title search, an issue came up that she had no idea existed. It was about an old mortgage from decades ago, long paid off, but never formally recorded and satisfied. She said to me, "How is this possible? I've lived here all these years." The buyer didn't want to wait for the paperwork to be resolved. The buyer walked. And at that moment, she felt defeated. She assumed the deal falling through meant something buyers would think that there's something wrong with her house. But here's actually what happened. We paused, we diagnosed the issue, we worked with the attorney and the title company to clear the documentation. We didn't panic, we didn't slash the price, and we didn't apologize to the market. When the home was relaunched, it came back confident and properly positioned. Within weeks, a new buyer came in, one who understood the process and moved forward smoothly. The home closed successfully. Nothing was wrong with the house. The first buyer simply wasn't the right buyer for that situation. Let me share a second story about a buyer who recently had cold feet. I've also seen this recently with a home in Nassau County. Inspection was fine, financing was approved, everything checked out. And then the buyer got cold feet. No red flag, no issue with the house, just fear. Something going on personally. The seller immediately thought, did we do something wrong? They didn't. The buyer simply wasn't emotionally ready. The home went back on the market and the next buyer moved forward with confidence. Same home, different buyer, successful closing. This is how sellers recover quickly. Here's what strong recoveries have in common. Step 1, diagnosis. Was it a buyer-specific or property-related issue? Step 2, strategic adjustments. Sometimes that means clarifying the issue, improving presentation, or doing nothing at all. Step 3, repositioning. Updated marketing, sharper message, or targeting the right buyer profile. And step 4, confidence. Confidence attracts buyers, hesitation invites discounts. Sellers who stay calm and strategic almost always recover faster and stronger. What sellers should not do in this situation? If your deal falls through, do not assume fault without facts. Do not slash prices automatically. Do not let fear guide decisions. And don't navigate this moment alone. This is where experience matters most. So in closing, if your deal just fell through in Queens or Long Island, take a breath. This is not the end of your sale. It's a pivot point. Handled correctly, a failed deal can refine your strategy, attract stronger buyers, and lead to a smoother closing. The goal isn't just to get back on the market, it's to get back on the market with control, clarity, and confidence. Because how you respond after a deal falls through often determines how successful the sale ultimately becomes.